please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer. Alderman Gallagher, please remain standing after that for the pledge of allegiance. And we'll ask Alderman Payne to lead us in that.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you tonight to ask you to be here in our presence during this meeting, Lord. We ask you to guide our minds in the right direction so that we can make good decisions, Lord. Lord, I want to pray for our nation right now that's undergoing so much turmoil, Lord. I pray that you would just bring justice and peace back to our country. These things we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the approval of minutes for 3 meetings. We had one regularly scheduled meeting, the first meeting of the month, and we had 2 special budget workshops meetings. So can I get a motion to approve, or can we do them all 3? Yes. Okay. Can I just get one motion to approve the minutes of all 3 meetings?
So,
Got a motion from Alderman Gallagher, second from Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda will be our budget hearing. And first of all, before we start the hearing, the way we'll do it tonight, we had the 2 budget workshop meetings. And when we left the last budget workshop, there was still some information the board requested that I provide. So I have that information. So I'm going to give you a quick update on those things. And we're going to ask Chris Wilson, our city administrator, to come up and do an overview of our current budget. And after that, we'll open up the floor to the public for any questions regarding the budget. So the update, the 2 things that we left the last meeting still with questions about. The first, they were both dealing with contributions that the city makes to non-city organizations. The first one was about the DeSoto County Museum, and the question that arose was, are the other DeSoto County cities also paying a contribution like we are? And the answer to that is DeSoto County gives money to this organization. I believe it's $35,000. Then the city of Southaven gives $9,000, and then all the other cities in DeSoto County give 6. Well, it's actually it's Hernando, Horn Lake, and Olive Branch all give 6, and the city of Southaven gives 9. And my assumption is that that was made. I don't think that was made during my time here, but I guess it's geared towards population. They just felt like since Southaven is the biggest city. So that's a decision y'all will need to make. Do you want to leave it at 9 with the others paying 6, or do you think it should be equally done among the cities? So we can, right now in the budget, we have 9, like it was in there last year. But before we leave this discussion, we'll need to hear from everybody if we want to change that. The second thing was on the contribution to the public library. Last year when we requested budget or financials, we were told, which is true, that the library is part of a regional library. So the money that we contribute goes into a budget that is used for a region, not just the Southaven location. So we specifically want to know how the money, the $300,000 that we have so far in this budget, how is that allocated to the Southaven library, not the region, because we want to know that the money that we give is going into the Southaven library. So they did comply with that. They did come back and give us a breakdown, which they broke it all down, and it equates to $300,000. Chris Wilson and I did go back to verify that, and we feel comfortable that they are using the money in the Southaven library. So again, that doesn't change your decision if somebody wants to make a motion and make an adjustment to the amount of money that the city gives to our library. But at this point, there is $300,000 in the budget, and the library has shown us that money is only used at the Southaven location. So with that being said, before Chris comes up, is there any discussion on, do we want to make any amendments to either of those 2 items? To which? 300. we had reduced it from the previous year. The line, I think it was 330. 330. Did we get any information about that? About their plans to reopen?
They're doing a lot of online stuff. And
I
walking
think
through
they're
the same
probably like so many
guidelines or
different
whatever.
ways. Yeah, no, we're not doing it. The hearing will follow Chris. So yeah, right now, basically, this was just an update to the 2 budget workshops. So I promised the board answers to those questions. So I guess what I'm asking the board now is there any interest in number one, making a change to the 9,000 that's in there for the DeSoto County Museum? And then does the board want to make any changes to the 300,000 that's in there for the money?
Do you think the library is able to operate with a smaller budget now that
They asked for the same thing we gave them last year, and that's what's in there. As far as to answer your question, I guess I don't know that. I don't know that there's a way to, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've asked for 300. And again, we did briefly in the workshop talk about just because an organization may be amending the way they're doing their business doesn't change the fact that they still have payroll. You know, they still have people that, you know, that they have to keep. So, I guess my main thing I would report to the board about the library is, you know, we certainly want to support our library. You know, there's people, our citizens still use it, so we certainly want to support them. We would like to feel a little more appreciation, a little bit, with the fact that we built a $4 million building exclusively for the library's use, and that we paid for all the, you know, the maintenance of the building and even some of the utilities. So, but as far as like, I'll just be real straightforward. I don't think we should cut the funding this year. I don't.
Based on the breakup,
Yeah. And you really are splitting hairs if you try to say, hey, let's cut this because of COVID. I mean, we don't really know their operation with that much detail to say where we'd expect it to cut them. So therefore, I mean, I'm not recommending it. I think we hold it in 3. But again, it's your call. Okay, go with both. Anybody else want to make a motion to change the museum? We're good with that. No motion. Okay, we'll move on. Chris, would you come forward, just give us an overview? And before he starts, that was only 2 things. Was there anything else with any other questions that we left hanging from the budget workshop? Anybody have any other questions? Yeah, all those changes were made. Yeah.
we'll pass around to
These sheet was sent, we posted all documentation for this meeting, we have revised, updated budgets for you and balanced the tax increase, we do increases. 6 new police officers are in that budget, 10 vehicles, body cameras, building inspector, building department clerk, and soccer commissioner, director of that's all. Just a lot of departments. Ballot request, just a matter of structuring your priorities and funding.
Hey, Chris, let me interrupt you there. Excuse me, just a minute. I did want to update y'all. That was the last thing. I felt like I was missing something. We did talk about when we left. We're going to go back and come through and see if we can find a way to add more police. You know, everybody, you know, we understand the need to have as many police officers on the streets as we can. So we did go through and come to a few. I think we did cut a few things down. We did cut facility maintenance to $850,000. It was at $1 million last year. And then we come to everything. Chris realized that there was a couple things that we already had in there, so that freed up a little bit of money there. So we went from what we felt like we had enough for 4 on at the last workshop. Now we've got 6 in there, so we did find room for 2 more financially. Got the 10 vehicles in there. Body cameras, huge deal. I think everybody's in agreement in today's world, we gotta have body cameras on the police. So we got that done. And then the building department, that's another thing that it's tough to plan that when you have downturns in your building market. But the building market has been so heavy this year. We've got to have another building inspector, and our clerks need some help. We've got to have another clerk. So we do have those in there. So I think those things mentioned there will help us a lot. I think that's extremely important for our budget. Sorry.
And those positions are, the building department specifically are almost, phased together with the revenue and the building department. So, those revenue generating positions not take away from general fund. You did see also, we, obviously incurred some more, park expense in the fields, additional soccer. But those revenues are reflected on the revenue side, increase, park fields, are solid. And those are the revenue estimates which having stands to reason for the soccer program.
Is that it?
That's the overview stays the same, we did for me.
Okay. Any questions for Chris?
Christian, the next time, you can have some extra overtime money, like a police department, is that part of it?
We don't know in here at this point. There's no rollover money to balance this at this point. And, we need to be cautious, in my opinion, to watch where we are. It's supposed to go to 9/30 due to COVID. And the impact that's going to have, we don't have 750,000 direct reduction in sales tax revenue. She's doing a remarkable job on the overtime. But keep in mind, that overtime is already factored into their budget at the beginning of the year. We haven't amended that. So, again, that was really lessened by the lack of regulations, language center, or some of the issues that brought us overtime. So we have to take that into consideration before we make it well. Making this overtime. Let's get back online. We'll see an increase in that. However, the additional cost should, mitigate against that. But no, there's no guarantee money plugged in to balance the budget.
It's swept back into general fund, so during the audit, it would be part of your fund balance. Just another comment, important to note, no tax increase. Being on the whole line there is extremely important. And soccer moving forward, like Chris said, we have a new director coming on. So those are all important issues. We stay committed to our infrastructure improvement. We spend this year in this budget is $3 million a year for street improvement, $1 million for drainage maintenance and drainage improvement. That's a total of $4 million. In 2012, the city allocated $1 million for all that. So we've gone from 1 to 4 in infrastructure improvement. So just reiterates the strength of our commitment to improving our infrastructure.
And that increase, majority is tied to the FEMA funds, so the state and sales funds. So we should see increases, we spoke last week on how that's graduated up over the next 4 years, that increase is great. It has to by law go back to infrastructure instead of getting part of it.
And we're at 50, that we're just only getting 50% of that money now. Okay, any other questions or comments before we open up the hearing? Okay, is there a motion to open the budget hearing? Got a motion from Alderman Brooks, second from Alderman Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Any questions about fiscal year 21 City of Southaven budget? Anyone have any questions at all about anything? Anyone want to speak? Okay, I guess no one wants to speak, so can we get a motion to close the hearing? Got a motion from Alderman Flores, second from Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, I'm sorry, all opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is a resolution for high-tech surplus.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt the resolution, Mayor Board, Aldermen, City of Southaven, declaring surplus property in the asset department.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion?
Surplus. Department along with a bunch of other money needed out to equipment for along with that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract for a copier for our public works department.
This is a contract with Copy Public Works, the same contract that we used with RJ Young, for the previous department, for other departments, the previous changes of client compensation for Bradley Wallace, signs of agreement with RJ Young for the contract.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for a sole source purchase for our parks department.
This is a sole source purchase for work, LLC, and that's the, for the lifts and the training equipment for the, parks shop department. So tonight, authorization to purchase work in a LLC to lift and training equipment, that will sole source purchase, which is needed for the, park shop, or new park shop.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt the resolution, Mayor Board, Aldermen, City of Southaven, authorizing the single source item purchase of the Parks Department as presented.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a renewal of the term contract with Riverside Traffic Systems for the striping of our city streets.
This is just a one-year renewal with Riverside for the striping of the streets. That will be the last change order of their contract for the 5th year. As you probably did, the project returns to the 5th year of the term for Riverside Traffic Systems Inc. for the primary contract for striping of the city streets. Just the mayor signed the contract.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for liens in accordance with Mississippi Code 21-1911.
This is the condemned properties authorization to file liens that would then be converted to assessments later this year. With my authorization to file a costs associated with cleaning the properties from 1911 as liens for then converting them assessments over the properties.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt the resolution, Mayor Board, Aldermen, City of Southaven, adjudicating the cost of the property, imposing a penalty, and imposing a lien on the same as property as presented on this day.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion from anyone that has a financial interest of any of the properties in the audience? Here you're seeing none. Roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution regarding the private property as presented on this day.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing none, roll call please.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda, Ms. Whitney Cook.
Our first application we've got here is an application to rezone 2.89 acres of property. It's going down the southeast corner of College Road and Getwell Road. Currently it's agricultural. Request is to go to C1, which is our neighborhood commercial. First thing we had to do is look at our comprehensive plan to see if it is compliant with that, our comprehensive plan. It showed all four of those corners should, in fact, at some point in time, go commercial and or residential office. It is to service the surrounding neighborhoods, which is what C1 does. It's not your massive commercial developments like a C4 type designation. So it does fall in line with that. In terms of character of the neighborhood, your two north corners are both under PUDs that have office and commercial uses, so it is in character with the surrounding neighborhood. Additionally, during this rezoning, we did ask them, as we're working through the Getwell Road widening project, we did ask them to go ahead and donate the 53 feet of right-of-way needed for that side. They have agreed to that. So with all of those stipulations and requirements being met, we asked for approval on the first vote of the city council.
Sorry, we got a motion, Alderman Flores, who's made the second? Alderman Kelly seconded the motion.
They're coming up with a conceptual design on it. It looks like there may be some small office buildings and some possible minor retail along the front. They're kind of designing it to go with kind of that nail and get roll look, but bank is right there. There's no definitive design yet. It'll come back in front of us for the design package. So once we have that, I know they're working on it now, maybe next month after we should have some.
Any other questions from the board? We'll need to open up a quick zoning hearing to allow discussion for that. But first of all, is there any other discussion from the board? Hearing none, can I get a motion to open a zoning hearing regarding the property? Got a motion, Alderman Flores, second Alderman Brooks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there anyone that would like to speak in the audience about the property being rezoned? Anyone want to speak about the property being rezoned? Hearing or seeing none, is there a motion to close the zoning hearing? Got a motion, Alderman Flores, second Alderman Brooks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The zoning hearing is now closed. And then, if there's no other discussion on item one, roll call, please.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Our second application is a message or reader board sign located at 7651 Tullahoma Road. This is the office building that is located right there at the Central Parkway in Tullahoma, entrance to Central Park, Upper Cervical Clinic. For the stipulations, it has to be secondary signage, less square footage, amber lighting, and 8-inch lettering. You can see by the renderings it does meet all those requirements, so we are asking for approval based on those requirements, and it was voted unanimously in favor of the planning commission.
Got a motion, Alderman Brooks, second Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries.
The only other question I have is I know we have the variance with the fire department and our department regarding the arcade. I didn't know if you wanted to do that or not.
Let's do that now.
Okay.
Let's do that.
As they're in the audience, and I think Chief Stallion is here. He requested a variance on two portions of our code. One was to be allowed to serve alcohol in the arcade as an accessory use to a commercial recreational facility. That's the portion of the variance that I'm looking at. What we based the variance, I guess, approval on, we are recommending approval simply because it is an accessory use to commercial main use of the property. Our ordinance act in about 2005 was changed to, as to state that no lounge bars, taverns were to be located in the West End district. For whatever reason, that is stay put. We are looking at possibly revising that, or we're going to keep the same. But as of right now, a lounge, tavern, bar is not allowed. Our variance is based on the fact we don't feel this is a bar, tavern, or lounge. This is a recreational use. It's an arcade, a little arcade, nostalgic arcade that he is trying to grow. The secondary use of it is to serve food and alcohol. So we think that there's a hardship there that should allow for the serving of the alcohol. So our recommendation on that portion of the variance is to allow that use on that property. Again, the second part of it is to the fire code, and that's where Chief Stallion is going to come in regarding the fire suppression system. And I know the applicant is in the audience. Any questions from my side up here? Otherwise, I'll have Chief Stallion.
Well, so your recommendation is we approve the variance to
To
allow.
allow alcohol serving as a secondary use on the property.
Okay,
and
so what we're
based
gonna talk to about the sprinkler system fire, that's gonna be a separate thing, so what,
on- They combined it as one variant, so I don't know if you want to do it in two parts.
I would think it depends on how the second part, if it's one approval with denial recommendation, yeah, you would be hard to further approval, I'm going to do it, but.
I would think to do them separately. Mine's is zoning
Yeah, I think go ahead and do
portion.
your
So,
zoning, but I'll approve the variance for the applicant, I'll be applicant, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I know the name, like, for our minutes.
What is the actual name of it? Game on?
Game over.
Game over.
game over?
Game over.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the zoning variance for game over? Motion Alderman Kelly, second Alderman Payne, any discussion on that?
Just the variance be allowing the use of serving of alcohol as a secondary use.
Secondary use on the
In the
property,
context
yes.
of the variance for the city, for the city. That's your motion would be.
Okay, is there any other discussion about that? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. All right, now the second part of the issue, we have Chief Scallions, we have Tim Rowland, our fire marshal here as well. The second part is going to be when it goes from an arcade to a restaurant bar, it does require a sprinkler system with our current guidelines. So the discussion is about that. Would we waive that? But again, being an arcade is one thing, but when it turns into a restaurant bar, it does require a sprinkler system. I would just say this, I've said it previously, we want to do things that incentivize the revitalization of our original business district. I've told Terry many times, I love his idea. I want to see it happen. I love it. I think it's good. But I also have some heartburn. I really want to listen to our fire personnel talk about it, because a life is no less important in the West End district as it is anywhere else in the city. And so we want to be careful when you have a large assembly like that. Obviously, when you turn into a restaurant bar, you're going to have a more dense gathering, and so it becomes a more serious issue as far as having a sprinkler system for the safety of people. So, Chief Scallions, how do you want to handle addressing it? Tim, you want to send Tim up first?
Yes, sir.
Or in full?
35.
Yeah. Tim is our expert. Tim Rowland is our fire marshal. Good, how are you?
All right, whenever they first applied for the business, it was stated that it was going to be an arcade, which time the occupant load was listed at about 290, according to the architectural drawings that they gave. I basically approved it as an arcade, but after approving it, the discussion with Mr. Terry, he stated that he wanted to also serve food and alcohol, which an arcade is considered what they call A3, assembly 3. It has an occupant load of 300. That's your arcade, your museums, your churches. Okay. Once you go to an A2, which is restaurants, bars, nightclubs, more along that line, it goes to an A2, which states fire code that was not loaded 100. You have to sprinkle. That's the reason Chick-fil-A, the new Chick-fil-A on Getwell is sprinkler, the new Chipotle's on Goodman is sprinkler, because their occupant load was over 100. And he provided the last set of drawings. Even his architect listed it as an A2. So I have preliminarily approved it based on getting sprinkler drawings, fire alarm drawings, and commercial good drawings. Because by code, it would require all three in order to be an A2 arcade bar restaurant. Anything further?
I think we pretty much know what the issue is, and so I think I can kind of direct us into a decision with the board. So basically what the request is, are you going to allow it to open without a sprinkler system? Because according to the building code ordinances, it has to have, with that, it's going to be a restaurant bar, it does have to be sprinkled. So I would make one suggestion, again, in the spirit of trying to incentivize revitalization of our original business district. My recommendation would be, again, I've stated that I think it's a good thing. I'd like to see, the revitalization. I think it's a good business idea. My recommendation would be that we do hold tight to the recommendations of our fire marshal, but that we give some leniency on time on when those things can be done. So my recommendation is that we allow them to open with either an 18-month or a 24-month period to get those items in place. We're going to talk about the parking next, but that's, Tim, the parking is a different issue altogether. We're just talking about the sprinkler system right now. So, that's the third thing we're going to discuss. You have the information about the number of parking spots. What we'll do is bring Whitney up after this. Right now, what we need to make a decision on is the sprinkler system and the drawings for the benefit and what else, Tim?
Code requires a sprinkler system, a fire alarm system, and a food system and all of the.
But you got to have that on day one if you're going to be cooking food, right?
Sorry?
You got to have the food system on day one if you're going to be cooking food, right? Okay, so the delay, let me clarify my recommendation is to give some leniency on the time for the sprinkler system, but the benefit system would have to be in place day one if you're going to cook food.
Mayor, how much is the time frame?
My recommendation is 18 months. I'd say 18 to 24 months, but I think 18 months is a fair amount of time to get your feet on the ground.
Can I throw in there also, and this may be better aimed towards Mr. Terry?
Sure.
As of right now, it's an empty vacant building. The cost is probably going to be half to double for a retro as it would be for now as an empty vacant building.
Right, which that's important for him to know, but just as a city, we want to give him the flexibility of making that call. But, still, I would recommend giving him the the flexibility of 18 months, but like Tim is saying, it may be more cost effective, then we go ahead and do it now.
Cost that problem, take over our issue.
It's gonna be between 35 to 60,000, what I would think.
70,000 is the upper, which includes repaving once they finish trenching the front of the building. 35 is without the paving, 30 in that area. So,
No, we're talking about just a sprinkler system. He's talking about repaving when they have to run the line.
Sprinkler system.
yeah, just, which includes trenching but not paving the front.
Yeah, this is just a sprinkler.
And it includes the connection to the city water. The hydrant.
He's saying 70, so he said
70
70.
is for the complete job.
Yes. West End Business District, yes.
Qualified, but one of them, and we are talking with the water department, trying to get a $1,000 waiver for a connection to the city for the sprinkler system. Fortunately, the hydrant is within 100 feet of the building. If it wasn't, I would have to put in a hydrant for the city.
But he'll still, the tap fees, he'll fall
Yes,
down.
once we decide what improvements are going to be done, we put together a package that comes back and forth like we normally would. We'll make that determination, and we can make more of the sewer, and all the other permit fees that we normally would as a standard.
So it's 70 now, we're going to retrofit, we're talking 100 to 140 road. So that's what smart, what my cost.
Yes, sir.
You get retrofit.
I mean, it's 70 just to fit, period. The complete job. There's nothing else double that.
But you understand what Tim's talking about? It may be more cost effective for you to do it now.
Right at the front end where the building is. There you go.
That's what I'm asking.
And
I'm asking if
then,
it's
otherwise
70.
I would have to rent 2 trailers or pods to put in front of the building while the building is shut down for, let's say, the winter season.
Right, what I'm asking is if it's 70 today, for example, rough estimate, would it be anywhere between 100 and 40 down the road? Or is that going to change? That's not something.
Have you had a price to retrofit? Okay.
That's all.
I'll take a motion to give the 18 months. Just a sprinkler system.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Hughes to give some flexibility on the, to allow Game Over to open without a sprinkler system for 18 months. We have a second, Alderman Brooks. Any other discussion about that?
What is that 18 months?
It's just binding time to get in, generate revenue.
And
I mean, so we're gonna allow him 18 months variance for the sprinkler system.
Correct.
Day one, he has to have a benefit of the fire suppression system.
Right, we're just talking about the sprinkler system only right now.
We're talking about the fire suppression system in the kitchen, correct? You
yes,
understand
no,
that?
yes.
Yeah, I think I said that, I told
I
you,
just want to make sure.
yeah, the vent hood, you gotta have the vent hood if you're cooking on day one.
Well, that and the fire suppression.
Right, correct.
That goes in.
Just sprinkler systems all we're
The
talking about.
sprinkler costs more than, I mean, like in the report, it costs, it's like a nice home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So if our business tanks, then that, and within 18 months, we won't lose it. I think this will do well. And putting in a sprinkler system is not, we just feel like we didn't waste money on a sprinkler system. We could put building up more safe. That's plan. Hold.
Obviously, the building would be more valuable with the sprinkler system in it, so.
Well, it fits, so there are certain businesses that can operate in there without a sprinkler system, depending on the occupancy. So if it was used for like storage or storefront, that has less people in there, and it could operate pending, the partnership.
Were you gonna say something?
I was just saying, in the minutes, I would just recommend like, that only applies to sprinkler system, not the fire suppression
Yeah,
system.
I'm sorry, y'all, that's what I said initially.
Yeah, not the mayor's point saying, like, you wasted money saying have it or actual minutes.
Yeah.
That way.
What was your other recognition, Rick? What did you say? Just that?
Power alarm system.
And that's it. Okay. Yeah, you want my motion?
Yeah. He knows, I mean, it's to your advantage to eventually have that anyway. It's going for your protection of the people in your building, so we have a common interest in public safety. Okay, is there any other discussion about that? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, that motion carries. Now, Whitney, would you explain the parking situation? That's another hoop that we've got to find a way.
Well, I think we've got some options here, and we weren't really taking this to the variance process at this point in time, but the building is approximately 3,500 square feet. We base our parking on a ratio of square footage. 200 is your standard for a use such as this, which requires roughly 18 parking stalls. As the building says right now, there's 10 parking stalls. I know you can't see that there, but if you can look here, there's an existing drive and there's additional spacing on the back side of the lot. There's also some concrete padding and some decking on the side. So what we plan on doing with him, we've got to get that parking ratio, if not more. And if it takes off like he's thinking, we're going to be more 18. But what we will do is work to find some additional spacing back here. I think originally we were looking at possibly leasing the space next door and adding parking over there. That may take care of itself. But if not, I've got the depth on the back side of the property and access drive already in place, so it's a very accessible parking back. We'll do that through my office administratively, but we'll make sure that they meet the criteria.
How many spots would that have?
It depends. Like I said, I will need 8 more to meet code. Like I said, if it takes off like he plans on it to, we're gonna need more than that. I'll scale it out in my office and see how many I can get in this place, and in the meantime, as we discussed earlier, we're gonna start talking with people adjacent to the vacant lot, to see if either leasing or buying that as an option. And we can add, we can proceed as like an outdoor patio type area out there. We could also provide some additional space in there. So we'll just monitor and make sure we get the compliant number at first and find room for expansion as we go.
And in the parking in the rear, he does understand that it would have to be an asphalt parking lot.
Yes, not the problem.
Right.
So,
We have
everything in place to make sure we not park, just customer not parking in other businesses.
I mean, we don't really have that for, people are going to Kroger over here, they can park in other areas. I mean, that's what we have to each property owners monitor theirs. If we get response from other property owners saying they're parking illegally over there, we'll report it to the police, that police will monitor it, tow cars, if they've got the trespassing signs, or we can warn those property owners. It will be his responsibility to ensure that his patrons are in his parking area. And like I said, we'll continue to monitor it. If we see that it's increasing, and getting as popular as we hope it does, we're gonna find some alternative parking area. So,
Then the street, the public street became no parking because of the 18-wheelers. Maybe we can designate no overnight parking or 2 hours of parking only. Put that up, that for discussion. I'm not sure yet. We got here.
Well, the key with that is, and you're right about the 18-wheelers, I was involved in that. The key is that we don't have an interruption. Like if your patrons are, like Whitney said, if they're parking, they're interfering with business on the street with somebody else, that's going to be an issue.
Yes.
And the bigger issue, I just want to make sure, I was going to say this before you left, to make sure whatever the board decides on the parking issue, is to understand that a variance does give us the right, if things aren't done the way, that you have to comply with that variance, or the city does have the ability to come change what's discussed tonight. So you do understand that.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I feel like you have a good business plan. I feel like that you want to be a good corporate citizen, so appreciate that.
In the grand scheme of things, we want that to be a problem. We want to have so many cars there that they have to park on the street. That means more revenue for you. That means you've got the finances to, fix the situation.
Yeah, 1926 would be happy. They already took the building back up for sale again. Took it off the market and now it's back on.
And if there were parking on the street, we're talking about First Marshall Drive. Right?
Yes.
We have parking on one side. There's just one side of the street. Is it on both sides now?
Yeah, it's on both.
I know some look at on one side of the street, for your variances we do for the traffic, but, one way of saying in terms of variance for parking, I don't know if we're gonna need one, I feel like we can get the site plan. And then prepare with the ratio we need now.
Okay.
And we'll continue to monitor it and find additional areas to get parking, but we'll do it correctly and I'll be working on myself.
Okay, but that's something that's changed since our last meeting, so we
Yes,
felt like.
yes, right now, when it went from an RNA to ending, alcohol was approved, it changes a little bit of the zoning to it, so instead of one. So the parking changed. But we started looking at it in advance of this meeting, it was gonna be a discussion, and there is room to increase the parking. And there's access to back the building, to the existing garage, so it actually plays out quite well. We'll just have to look at it, design it, and, get it down and make it happen.
Okay, is there anything for the variance legally, like, I mean, that sounds like a great plan, but we need to do, protect the city to make sure that is done.
Yes,
Each
sir.
one has to see up, and, because that's what's going to do, certificate of occupancy, if the parking's not there along with the inspections, it's just not passed. We just can't.
And again, through that process as well, I mean, I don't think there's been a very excellent plot for those.
The parking now,
I
yeah.
don't think there's anything to really consider on parking just yet. There's not anything applied for other than.
So you're saying, and forgive me for being repetitive, but, so what you're saying, Whitney, is that before he gets the CO, that you would
Well,
verify
sure.
that the parking meets
Interior and
everything?
exterior of the side will be
Okay.
one, minus the sprinkler
That's how
system.
it's going.
It's very important.
Okay, so there's no variance for the board?
I don't think we have anything to make site plan.
Okay, and but still, is there anything, the board, is there any concerns or any other questions about that?
About the parking?
Yeah.
Any other question? So, with regards to variance, it's just 18 months, okay, additions to the city of
I would say CO. Yeah. 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 Well, we have a fire marshal to go back. Tim, would you go back and reinspect? Somebody's doing their job, Tim. We appreciate you.
Tim and Michael Atkins doing their job.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I think what we do is it's not done 18 months, but
But again, just face to face, everybody in the same room, we're all in agreement. We understand what's being required of you. You understand what the city is allowing you to do.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is mayor's report, and just a few things to update everyone on. The ordinance committee meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Has been canceled. There's not going to be an ordinance committee meeting tomorrow. We will reschedule that about in 2 weeks. That's very important. We kind of pencils are trying to create a little bit of flexibility 2 weeks from now. We have a lot of things we need to talk about in an ordinance committee meeting, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. It'll be rescheduled in a couple of weeks. We'll send out an invite on that. Thursday, we'll have the second public hearing about our 2018 building code adoption, and that'll be Thursday in this room at 10 a.m., 10 to 12. Then we'll go ahead and hear from the builders and wrap up that before we officially adopt that. The two big issues that we left the January 9th meeting with were the square footage amount that we felt like was appropriate to require the sprinkler system on a residential property. So we'll try to hammer that down Thursday. The other thing is the wind and seismic plan. The wind and seismic plan that's in the code is, we feel like is way too stringent for this geographical area. And so we feel like we need to simplify that some, to make it more appropriate. James Gentry has laid out a plan on what he thinks is easy to communicate. And we want to review that one more time with the builders and get that hammered down, and then we should be ready to adopt it. So the meeting is 10 to 12 on Thursday, right here. Exciting news, Central of Snowden multi-use trail 2011 is when the city and MDOT, the city applied for an alternative transportation grant. I don't even think they have that name anymore, Whitney, do they? So 9 years ago, the city applied for this money to build a 10-foot wide multi-use trail that connects Central and Stone Grove Park. Through this 9 years, there's been a lot of changes. Just to summarize it real quickly, getting right-of-way for the trail was an issue. There were some private property owners that didn't agree to that, so the trail had to be redirected. When you redirect something, it's almost like starting over. You had to go back to MDOT, get them to approve the route, and so that's all been done. But anyway, ground broke yesterday on this, so it's a pretty big deal. We've been working and talking about it for a long time. I'm excited about it. It's great for our city, making our city more pedestrian friendly. So now you'll have that 10-foot trail that'll come out of Central Park on Tullahoma, then it goes southbound on Tullahoma. We still got some issues we're working out with MDOT. Obviously, if a pedestrian is going to cross Goodman Road, we still got some work to do there. But the trail will extend further south past Goodman to May Boulevard. Then when it gets to May, it will go eastbound towards Solid Square into Getwell, with the plan of eventually connecting with the pedestrian bridge and connecting with the current Stone Grove pedestrian trail that's in place now at Stone Grove Park. With this plan also, there is a stretch for DeSoto Central High School that goes from Central Parkway to DeSoto Central northbound to Nail. So it'll allow the students that are now walking through the business parking lots there, they'll have a walkway where they can safely travel from school back up to Stone Grove Park and the business district there as well. So really excited about that. Ground broke yesterday. It's a great day for that. We're continuing to move on with our plan to be more pedestrian friendly. As I mentioned, the other projects, Stone Grove, adding bike lanes on collector streets through neighborhoods. We'll continue working with that in consistency with our Green Trend 2040 plan. Good news, everybody's sick of hearing about COVID. COVID is real. We still got to deal with it, unfortunately. The bad news is we shut down economically for a long time. We had 3 months this year. Chris told you about it. It really affected our sales tax revenue in the city. When we had the major economic shutdowns, it has caused serious economic damage throughout our country. You continue to hear daily companies that just are not going to be able to rebound and make it back. We're not immune to that in Southaven either. But the good news is the general economy is good. A lot of factors are really good. And again, not to say I told you so, but I told you so. We rebounded strongly in June and July. We had big time sales tax numbers in June and July. So really positive news for our city. Our parks maintenance shop is almost done. Well, it is done. Just a few punch list items, and we will get our parks, all our parks equipment moved over there. I would encourage all of you to go check that out. It's really I know you may say we don't get excited about a maintenance shop, but it's something to get excited about. It's a awesome shop. It's laid out perfectly for what our needs are, and if we're going to continue to expand our parks program, we need to be able to service them. So it has a lot of features that our other shop didn't have. So it's really something for us all to be excited about. Go check it out. It's just west of the tennis center, between the tennis center and our current baseball complex at Stone Grove Park. And then I think that is it. Let me scan my list. That's all I have this evening. So I'll move on. Any questions for me before we move on about anything I said or anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is our citizens agenda. Would anyone in the audience like to speak? Please come forward to the podium. Anyone want to speak on the citizens agenda? All right, we got a visitor.
Hi. I didn't plan to be here, but I am so glad I get an opportunity. I'm with Southaven Theater, and it's my pleasure to stand before you telling you that we really appreciate what you've done for us last year. We hope to help this community rebound and continue to grow. We're doing so many things right now, planning to do Peter Pan in December, which is a big event. We're trying to make sure that our money matches our ability to do that. And your support every year helps us accomplish that. We have, when we opened up for auditions, we had over 100 people wanting to come out to do the show, because the only theater that's operating in the Mid-South right now is us. And We are trying to stage that claim. We are trying to help high schools. We are trying to do, I reached out before, we are trying to do a high school event, a cabaret celebrity show, celebration. Trying to find other ways to provide entertainment facilities and community support. I get to go out and see all the people and ask them to continue to help us, continue to be a part of what we're doing, and spread the good news, and we appreciate the fact that you helped me be able to do that. And if anything we can do to help the city, we are doing things like Christmas caroling in other venues. We do that here, we want to do that. So what we want to do is be a part of that uplifting spirit, come back to work, come back to the community, build our businesses, and if we can help you in any way, we would greatly appreciate that. And we're, again, looking for funds. We have to cancel our summer camps, unfortunately, and we have done training. We're going technical training, part of our MAC grant. Included us getting money from them to help do technical training, which is a key part of a lot of the young actors learning how to do that. So I appreciate your support. If there's any question for us that I can provide you with, I'd be glad to answer it. And hope the Lander Center will open up so we can do Peter Pan with a bigger than, a volume of people, more than, right now we're hoping at least 25% of people, 100 people in the seat. We can't do that. It's going to be tough to meet the budget. But if there's any question, I'm not bashful to talk. I love the community. I love what you guys are doing, and I love the opportunity to represent our community as part of the chamber and a part of the House of Grace. So anything I can do to help you guys, help us, let me know what that is.
Any questions for Dan?
Dan, what is the county set?
It hasn't been. We're talking about it. They said we're waiting. They're holding on the mandate for what the government. And I have to ask at some point in time, the fire marshal will help us understand what the occupancy will be for the theater. If we say we can open it at 25%, maybe someone knows hear what that would mean. Is that 25% of the seats can be filled? Or is that 25% of the capacity of the space? Because if there's, that show is a big show. It takes 30 people in the cast, at least another 10 to 12 in the production team to fly people and do things backstage and the sound stuff. I don't know what the answer will be. If someone could help us with that, that would be great. We think we can do the show if we can have at least 100 people in the seats. And we're going to run an extra weekends to help us capture that, but there's so many people who want to be on stage. I can't imagine what the response would be like when the community can come and see it. It's a heartwarming show, it's a fun show, and it's super good. We don't know. We're planning on moving in on November 2nd to set up the set, build the set and rehearsal installation.
Well, the short answer to that is, the restrictions now are in place by the governor. So, in many, as we all know, that's changed very frequently. So between now and November, there could be other changes. So my advice would be, let's wait till we get a little bit closer, and then the city will help walk you through that. So, but we can definitely give you a clear answer, like if there's a 25% limit, it would be based on the building code occupancy of that facility. So we can easily do the math on that.
That's how.
Yeah, we can get you an exact number. But again, I can't go without saying this.
I understand.
What I'm about to say is we all got to use a little bit of common sense. Like, we're going to get you that number, but we all got to use a little common sense about how we manage the crowd, how we separate and social distance and that kind of thing. Some of the government, the mandates by the governor, they're impossible to enforce because there's no way, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you enforce that? And so we will, as a city, we will do all we can to respect the governor's orders and also give you a clear answer as best as possible.
And you can help us with guide us, and we want to support you coming back to life in this community. And I know I've seen a lot of small businesses from the chamber side, that 1 to 3 size employees, 55 members that we've lost at the chamber. And it's sad. Those people, we hopefully can find someplace for them to get back to. And I know you're appreciating the same. So I'm exuberant, I'm pleased. I get to watch see people and encourage them to keep going back to business, keep trying. So
thank you for doing that.
Anything we can do to help. And the Justice Network, by the way, I don't know that we continue to bring people in to serve their justice time, community service time. And they're helping us, but I'm directing them over to this Katie, the House of Grace, to help that process, get them through the process. So by being open, we're still facilitating things in the community, and I know you guys are as well. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the community.
Oh yeah, good message. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the citizens agenda? Okay, and to answer your question, Alderman, there are a lot of, when you're talking about the Lander Center, when you start talking about concert, a lot of, open Lander Center depends on what it is. I mean, having a concert, things like that, there's a whole lot of moving parts and questions unanswered about that. I did meet with Todd Master yesterday, he was kind of briefing me on that, like how complicated it is. So the answer is nobody knows. None of those things, nobody knows that right now. Too many unanswered questions. So.
Mayor, is there anything you can do to encourage some of these restaurants to start opening back up their office when they got stuff? Everything's pretty much closed. Well, I mean, as far as like, you're making out home, you're fast food. I mean, I'm over to sit down restaurants out there. I mean, I think there's, so far, I haven't heard of it.
Well, most of the ones that you're talking about, if you're talking about a corporate chain, those decisions are not being made locally. Those decisions are being made somewhere else. So to answer your questions, there's really not much we can do to, not much we can do.
Who said it's them, it's been resources to
Yeah.
clean up.
Yeah.
But that's what concerns me, that, like I said, that this,
Yeah, that's their business decision, like George said, they're gonna weigh their cost of opening the dining room versus the number of people customers they think will be in there. So it's strictly a private business decision. But it is fair to say there's a ton of restaurants that do have dining rooms open right. And I think, like I mentioned on the sales tax, I think our city, we have rebounded in a big way. I mean, our businesses have rebounded, and it's not a perfect world, obviously, again, but it's from a business perspective, but it's we've rebounded strong. But there's not really a way we can tell a fast food chain how they have to. I think our restaurants have done a really good job though, in using safety protocols and getting a lot of dining rooms open. I know that there are many that do have dining rooms.
So could this end up being, I mean, not only approve this Wendy's over here, but we build a lot of this kind of stuff. If they decide we don't want to do that anymore, we have no reason to make them obvious.
I think
That's their decision.
But I think the market will bear that out. Maybe one of the market, whatever.
And I don't know why I can't keep my mouth shut. Y'all just forgive me, but can I tell you something? COVID's not going to last forever. Okay, this crisis we're in is going to end. Okay, the world is not going to end because of COVID-19. That's one thing that if I'm wrong, I'm not wrong. The world is not going to end over COVID-19. We're all going to get through this. And so, like Alderman Flores said, you can bet that they're going to reopen when it's time, and we will all recover. Our business is still recover. It is scary, the doom and gloom. Some people, it's just amazing. So
Yeah, we have to November one way or the other.
They'll reopen. But no, back to your question, there's no way, as a local government, there's no way we can tell, a business how to run their business, how they got to open and everything.
Just like Alderman Flores says, once Wendy's or whoever realizes that they can increase their revenue by opening up to more of a lunch crowd, people want to go eat lunch, they want to sit in their office necessarily in a car, they eat their lunch there. They want to go in somewhere, sit down, keep it open, going to other restaurants, they're going to do what they need to do.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the personnel docket.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Brooks, second from Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
Previously, you approved the Landon Roberts contract, conditions set forth on the mayor regarding the timing and Landon Roberts change order for official year. That contract has now been signed. My understanding that contract has been flagged and reporting of meeting.
Okay, next on the agenda is our utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the utility bill lead adjustment docket as presented.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda are two claims dockets. Is there a motion to approve docket one?
Mr. Mayor, move we approve docket number one in the amount of $1,665,428.31. Police maintenance.
For docket one, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Is there a motion to approve docket two?
Mr. Mayor, move we approve docket number two in the amount of $95.20.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session. Got a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is claims and litigation against the Southaven Police Department and Public Works and Utilities Departments, the leasing of city property, personnel in the police department, personnel in the parks department, and economic development within our city. Is there a motion to declare executive session? The motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.